And welcome to Understanding Photography with Kim Ayres, episode 173. Today is the Halloween challenge. So yes, last weekend was Halloween, and so we set a Halloween challenge. So I asked everybody to send in images of their well, anything Halloween related really. So we've had about 8 or 9 people sent in different images. Some sent more than one, where they've been kind of roaming their neighbourhoods or playing around in their kitchens and constructing bits and pieces. So yes, let's I'll show you what we've been up to after this. So yes, welcome to Understanding Photography with Kim Ayres. If you're looking to improve your understanding of photography, then you're in the right place. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the little notification bell, make sure you hit like as well somewhere down here. YouTube's algorithms always like it when you kind of hit the like button too. So if you happen to be watching live, then leave a comment. Tell me who you are, tell me where you're from, tell me what the weather's doing. Let's get the chat going. In fact, I can see we've got a couple of comments in already, a few people here. Pat says, hi all, momentarily sunny in Somerset. April says, hello everyone from a mostly cloudy, at the moment, Long Island, New York. Glad time is back to normal. Right, okay, so I'm assuming from that then that North America's kind of caught up with Britain in returning to ordinary time in winter without it being moved around for summer. Susan says, hi from a sunny Kakubri. Sorry I didn't get the chance to post the Halloween images. Emergency granny duties called. Well, it's kind of understandable. Janet says, hi from a sunny but chilly Mississauga. John says hello from Columbus, Ohio on a nice fall day. Jack says hello everyone. Stacey says good morning all. Been a very busy few weeks here. Regardless, I'm glad to see all. Temperatures here have chilled. It's in the 50s. It is sunny for now because that'll be 50s Fahrenheit. Yes, if it's feeling chilled. And Robert's joined us and says howdy all from Texas. So we have people, we have pictures, we have we have a presenter, we have a podcast to begin. Right, okay, so yes, last week I set the Halloween challenge. Asked everybody if they would sort of go on a little wander around and sort of see what images they could gather. We're not doing any real kind of critique, although Janet did ask for a little bit of feedback on one of her images, so I will talk a little bit about that. But beyond that, mostly it's just a case of show and tell, really. So people have sent the images, and sort of it's a little bit of Halloween fun. Next week we'll be back to a normal kind of critique feedback session, so you can send me your images then for feedback and how to improve your photography. But today we're kind of hoping that really it's about a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of sharing, a little bit of fun. So let's get started then. So let me find first up we have Jack, and where are we? Here we go, Jack. Oh, put that over there. I'm still at this point, I will just say, I'm still at this kind of point where I'm sort of still getting used to which screen I'm supposed to be at. This whole kind of change of standing desk bit has kind of meant that I've had to swap my primary and secondary screen around. So instead of looking that way to get all my extra bits of information, I now have to look this way to get my bits of information. I'm still getting confused. So technicals tend to trip me up at the best of times. It's well likely to trip me up this time. On top of that, today I've actually created I've got a lower keyboard tray. I realised my desk was sitting a bit high, even if my chair was kind of where I didn't want it. Well, anyway, essentially there's a little tray I've kind of fitted which slides in and out now, which is attached to under the desk. So that's throwing me out even more. You don't really need to know all this. Let's make a start. Let's flip over then. So what we have here is this one from Jack. And Jack says, this is a ship in my friend's front yard. I used a light tube to make a light around it. It really lifts the photo using a bulb setting and painted as you see, and then shut down the shutter. One of my first light paintings. So this is a real fun kind of thing. If you've ever tried one of these, or if you haven't tried one of these, the way to do it is essentially you stick your camera on a long exposure. So you might decide to do it for 30 seconds or 60 seconds, or in the case of what Jack has done here is he's put it on bulb, essentially where you go click and the shutter will stay open until you decide to click shut again, until you decide to switch it off. So you can have a really long exposure, kind of as long as you like. And then what he's done is he's got a light tube. So a light tube, you can go out and you can buy them. I mean, think of the equivalent of like a fluorescent tube kind of thing, but it's like one of those. Or battery powered. There's even ones you can create as well. I've seen there's all sorts of YouTube videos on how to do this. And so you get a stick of light, basically, kind of a bit like a lightsaber perhaps. But what it allows you to do is, you can see here as it goes around and he's making all these, create these big circular movements and swish it about, and you're kind of creating these fantastic lines. And by adding a little bit of this interesting backlight along with the existing lights that were there, so this skeleton on the ship in his neighbour's yard kind of has a whole new kind of breath of life to it. So lots of fun there, and quite inventive to get playing around with light tubes and what have you. It's certainly something worth investing or investigating as well, if you've ever thought about it, or worth playing with. So we've got a couple more comments. Maggie says hello from a sunny CD. Castle Dud. Well, actually, now I look out the window, sun's just gone in. It's come and go, I think. Rosemary's joined us. Good morning. Yay, our clocks have now synced up with Scotland, so I can join in. We're getting a short break of rain this morning after huge volumes of rain. April says, this is a creative piece. Meg's joined us and says, hello, everyone. And Rosemary says, cool, Jack. Let the lights, the light lets the captain really stand out. Okay, excellent. So let's move on then. So next up we have John. And actually John sent in too. So the first one John sent in, let me kind of, is this one. And he said, we were touring the Trans-Appalachian as Asylum in West Virginia, and they had this dummy as a prop in one of the rooms. My camera wasn't automatic as I was walking around. It was a bit dark, so the shutter speed was slowed. I thought it fitted the Halloween theme. So yeah, it looks well, kind of a bit creepy, a bit in that kind of. It was a little bit out of focus as well. He had it on 1/8 of a second. So I asked him about that, but John also thought they would actually maybe try another one as well, and sent this one too. It says, this is another Halloween shoot I shot I took a few years ago at a photo shoot for a Halloween theme. The model Mary Beth really got into the theme with a small bit of HDR on the shot to make it pop. So yeah, I think this is where the fun always comes in, that if you've got a willing model who's prepared to kind of, put the blood splatter on, do the makeup, and then kind of really go for the posing. So if you're going for your Halloween theme, then yeah, lots of fun. So nice one there, John, playing around and looking for those kind of options. So yes, whether you're using a dummy or you're using a real live person, you can kind of places to explore with that. Stacey says creepy for sure. Second one is fun. So next up then, let's move to Janet. Viji's joined us actually and says, good evening, everyone. Glad you could join us, Viji. So where are we? So Janet sent in this one, or the edited version, and this one as well, and said, so this is from a zombie walk in Hamilton last Saturday. I like the idea of the black and white image, but I'm not sure I did a good conversion. So this one here being the original, and what we can see with so when we look at the original here, so I'll just start Photoshop up there while I'm talking about this. So zombie walk, we've got all these kind of outfits and slasher stuff going on. This guy with green face, obviously he's supposed to be kind of zombie-like, although the green is only on the front of the face, not on the neck or the rest of the flesh. So if you're trying to make it slightly more convincing, maybe black and white could be a way to go. Also, we've got this person in the back here with a bright purple top, grabbing a bit of attention. So options then. So when Janet put it to black and white, it's gone to black and white. What seems to have happened though is that it seems to have become kind of very, very textured over here, and we're losing some of the kind of distinctiveness of the different kinds of colours that are available. And always one of these problems when you convert to black and white is certain tones which, red and green can be poles apart, opposite ends of the colour spectrum, can end up being exactly the same tone in a black and white, and suddenly you don't get that differentiation, that separation out. So what I'll do is just to give you a couple of ideas here, or what I would suggest here, Janet. If we open this in Photoshop and just gives us a chance to do a little play around. So first of all, there's the crop, and where are we? Oh, no, didn't mean to quite do that. That's what I meant to do. Right, so crop down a bit here. You did that crop just to take out this person in the background. That's fine. And then maybe we could just nudge that in a little bit. And then we have, we've now got a kind of composition which sort of sits a bit more clearly. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to make sure that all the action that's happening in the middle of the photo here is the bit that's grabbing our attention. But if we do something like we just go to hue and saturation and we just drag down the saturation, then what you can see here is this becomes again fairly bland and neutral. That when we've got the colour in it, you boost the colour, you can really see the difference between the red and the green. Obviously we don't want that, but when you drag that down, we kind of lose. There's very little differentiation. So options then, and what I would suggest at this point, there's a couple of different ways you can go about it. I'll just duplicate that layer. And but what I'm going to do is I'll go into camera raw, and this gives me options here. So if I click black and white, you can see we've got exactly the same thing happening as, but the camera raw then has a black and white mixer that we can play around with. And so at this point, what we can do is we can grab a slider. And so if I grab the red, you can actually see there's not a lot going on in the red zone. Despite the fact there was a sort of patch of red, it maybe crops up more in the orange. So sometimes what you think is one colour isn't necessarily the way the slider has done it as well. So this red, maybe I will take it down because it is having an effect on the glove here. So we want that blood to come out a bit more there. So I will take that red down. I'll sort of make it darker. Then we've got the oranges, and we can lighten up the oranges. We can darken down the oranges. That just looks a little bit weird there. Well, it's kind of interesting when you lighten it up a little bit as well. It kind of makes this guy's sort of blonde hair that little bit blonder, slightly more Viking-like in some ways. Or we can kind of go darker. Well, yeah, maybe take it a little bit darker, and that's making the blood stand out a bit more. We don't want to go that far, so we're kind of nudging it a little bit. We'll take it there. See what the yellows do. The yellows, now that kind of makes a bit of into the yellow-green area there, but maybe we want to nudge the yellows up a little bit just to kind of create that contrast. And then the greens, well, there we go. Now we've got the greens are that little splatter on his face there. So what do we want to do with that? Now, we could take it right down. We could kind of take it out completely, lighten it up. Well, that becomes kind of interesting, I think, is actually when we kind of make it slightly paler. It sort of creates more of a contrast with that kind of orange over there. Aqua, nothing really happening in that slider. Blues, a little bit in the shadows. Well, I may as well bring that up, give it a little bit more. Purples, not a lot going on in there apart from, and finally magenta. Oh, well, a magenta, apart from that little bit of corner, is also allowing us to make that blood that's on the glove a little bit darker as well. So we'll maybe take that down. So now we've got that as a mix. I think we can then start doing the other things, like can add like a little bit of vignette or something like that, just kind of darken that down a little bit, and then maybe do a little bit of clarity or something just to kind of nudge that up a touch there. And so now I think what we've managed to do is we have a little bit more differentiation going on in his face, so that rather than his face all sort of kind of becoming one massive texture, we can still see the face, but we've got the blood splatters kind of standing out a bit more clearly. And then finally, I suppose what you could also do, if you want to make it much more about what's going on here rather than the rest of it, is if we do just something quickly, excuse me, like with the curves layer, and we just kind of darken everything down, but then layer masking, we turn that to black, so we can then lighten up this part. Now that, what I will tell you what I will do, I'll take that down to sort of 50% and just kind of blend out a little bit, something like that. In fact, actually, might just kind of darken that bit down again. Don't want his gloves being too bright, but we do want them bright enough. And so this is what we end up with. And I think something like this then gives us a little bit more differentiation in a way that, no, not that way. This one here, closer in crop, just kind of feels a bit too textured and kind of a little bit more difficult to make out exactly what's happening. Whereas something like this, I think now gives us a kind of clearer. And again, if you wanted, you could then up the clarity and the texture and, you know, give it a little bit more if you wanted. But I hope that gives you some ideas, Janet. But thank you for sending that in. You know, I think it's really fun if you're out on one, you know, there are, like you say, a zombie walk or something like that. Always an opportunity if you've got your camera, and if you've got your camera, grab your phone for some interesting photos. As soon as you get people who are prepared to dress up, you've got the chance of doing something a little bit theatrical or cinematic. Excuse me. So where are we? So April said, like the edited black and white one. Stacey says, love the black and white, makes it more dramatic. Viji says, wonderful shot, and liking the colour as well. And Janet saying, oh, that looks much better. Excellent. Well, I'm glad that you found that one useful, Janet. Okay, right, excuse me a sec. Right, okay, so let's move on then. So next then, I want to find, let me close that one, and Sandra. So, Sandra, where are we? That one. Sandra said, I only really have one Halloween photo, so here it is. The photo was taken in a community garden in London. They had a pumpkin carving competition. And I think this is really fun. I mean, what a great, you know, yes, so the pumpkin carving competition, but they've got all the pumpkins in the one place. And there's some fabulous pumpkins here. Got some sort of slightly more basic ones, minimalist, even a pumpkin within a pumpkin. That one, it looks like the whole, either the exposure isn't quite right or there's a big hole in it. But, you know, some of them have got really complicated. You kind of get into this one and we've got something like a snake or something coming out of the mouth. That looks a bit like a Wookiee or a teddy bear or a brown bear maybe. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. I think another option if you've got something like that is to actually sort of do some zooming in, you know, sort of pick out, isolate, or, you know, kind of, you know, create smaller groups where you can kind of get, you know, you zero in on one of them and then you have the hints of the other ones around them. But yeah, you know, a lot of fun. So nice one, Sandra. Thank you for sending that one in. It's always, yes, again, it's that thing of looking around, seeing what other people are doing and grabbing the opportunity. Viji said that's a lovely edit. Assuming that's on the last one. And Stacey says, love the faces carved in the pumpkins. Cool. And April says, a great shot. Right, so after Sandra, now Robert. So Robert said, I didn't have time to get a photo in for the challenge, but did manage to take a picture of a yard that had funny tombstones on my phone. So so here we have, and again, I mean, it's much more of a North American thing, I think. Certainly around here, I don't tend to see people doing their yards or gardens up with lots of these kind of Halloween decorations, but obviously quite a thing. This one, a whole bunch of graveyards. Hillary got trumped. Joe Biden woke up dead. Trump, his ego finally exploded. Bill Clinton, chickenpox, one chick too many. George W. bushwhacked. So obviously having a bit of fun here. Beto, no idea who that is. Probably more likely to be a local politician or of some kind, I would imagine. But that was just part of it. And, you know, here, in fact, actually, there's a whole bunch here from... I think, I will say, probably what I found the funniest for me was the Tooth Fairy, Reason for Death, cat. Tinkerbell, cat. Pokemon, cat. Mickey Mouse, cat. Tom Thumb, cat. Three Blind Mice, cat, cat, cat. Count Dracula is in or out. So they clearly had a lot of fun playing around with this kind of idea. But yes, from Robert's point of view, this is about, you know, you happen to be walking around the neighbourhood or you happen to be driving past somewhere and somebody else's yard has got some interesting ideas. Whip out your phone, take a photo. Lots of fun to be had. So nicely spotted there, Robert. And that's to be honest, is when you're doing this kind of photography, if you're not setting something up yourself, but you're sort of grabbing something else, you know, half the battle is just actually recognising that there is something worth taking a photo of, rather than just driving past it and then afterwards thinking, maybe I should have stopped. Right, a couple more comments here. Oh, Viji says, great carvings. Jack says, super shot. April says, I love the pumpkins and anything that deals with it. Yeah, of course, we're back to this old problem of the fact that as I talk and present, I'm roughly about somewhere between 10 and 20 seconds ahead of you who are viewing it. There's this buffer zone that happens with YouTube. Sometimes it can be even longer. So I don't necessarily, you might be writing a comment in the immediate response. I miss it because I don't pick it up, or you're writing it sort of 20 seconds after I've spoken something. So anyway, point being, I only really get to read your comments next time I come back and take a look. VG goes, ha ha. April says, cute sayings, and VG says, very creative and quirky. So, right, okay. Just a quick reminder then that if you'd like to support these podcasts, if you find them amusing, entertaining, interesting, or anything else really, but you would like to, then one of the best ways to do it is buymeacoffee.com/Kim Ayres. Another way, of course, invite your friends along and let's grow this wonderful community of ours. Right, okay, so what else we're going to... Let's go to Andy next then, because Andy sent in a couple, which was quite fun. Again, being quite opportunistic, Andy said, here's a couple I took last week at a local farm that has a pick-your-own pumpkins with some excellent terror tunnels with spooky characters. So it sounds like quite a place. So you've got a farm where you can pick your own pumpkins, but they've got a whole kind of setup and they've got some characters done. One vampire and an excellent Wednesday Addams. So here's your vampire and here's your Wednesday Addams. More than happy to pose for a picture or two. That's great, isn't it? I mean, I think, you know, when you've got, again, that notion of characters are already out there. These people are dressed up either for the fun of it or because they're being paid to. Capitalise on it. Make the most of it. Whip out your camera, whip out your phone. They're already dressed up. They're expecting to be photographed. It's a great opportunity. And, you know, fun weave photos here, I think. You know, nice little bits of shadow kind of crossing over the face as well. So well spotted there, Andy. Actually, I just realised I should be dishing out smug points. So smug points to everybody so far for sending in your images. Oh, this whole kind of still kind of getting past the sciatica bit means it's part of my head is feeling like I don't feel fully back in the flow of the podcast. I can kind of while I'm in them, but in terms of thinking in advance of what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm still sort of battling slightly with little bits of pain in the background. So sometimes the more things like smug points, completely forgot them. Anyway, where are we? VG says very creative and quirky. Oh yeah, I think we said that last. Stacey says great shot, love the portraits. Susan says loving these Andys, and April loving these Andy, and April says good pics. Cool, right, okay. Well, next up then, we'll go on to Viji. So now this was a fun one because Halloween isn't celebrated in India, but Viji said, I tried carving a pumpkin for the first time. It was a flop show, but I managed to take a couple of photographs. We do have a similar thing in India, but in the month of September and a bit gory. So I stay away. So I'm not entirely sure what that one is. You'll have to tell us a little bit more about that one, Viji. But I thought this was fun, and I also like that idea, another one here, taking a different angle, different exposure. I love the fact that you were joining in and having a go at carving the pumpkin, Halloween pumpkin, anyway there, Viji. And even if you feel like the pumpkin didn't actually deliver in terms of the carving you wanted, I think, playing around like this, getting in a nice close-up shot and giving us that sort of sense of a mood, a lot of fun. Smug points to you for that, for sure. So nicely done there, Viji. Nice, bright, colourful. I think that's the only one I had sent in. Other than Sandra's kind of big group pumpkins, this was the only one where somebody had actually carved a pumpkin and taken a photo of it, which I think I was expecting more pumpkins, to be honest, for the Halloween challenge. Next year, get your pumpkin photos in. So where are we now? Oh, Meg says, fantastic carving of the pumpkin. April says, cute, Viji. And Viji says, thank you. Right, okay. Next up then, April. So, April was having a bit of fun. She's actually sent a collection of 4 photos. Where are we? Let me click on that. And so, April says, here is my skeleton-themed submission. It is not scary, but it's supposed to be a little comical. So, she's got 4 here. So, this one is called, How Do You Like My Golden Tan? Then we have, so yeah, it's a nice one of the skeleton just sort of sitting in the sunlight, getting a nice tan there. But we do have a pumpkin in the background, not a carved one, but one sitting there. So yeah, extra smug point for you there, April, for getting an extra pumpkin into the shot. This one, not so tanned, looking slightly more goes. This one is called Nothing Like the Sun. So a bit of fun with that. The third one is called the Three Friends, and yeah, we'll sitting around. There's an expression called sitting around chewing the fat, as an expression for talking. I suppose in this case, it wouldn't really be chewing anything much, but it almost seems familiar. I suppose you get 3 old people sitting around chatting away, and somehow even more time passes. And then the final one is a close portrait of a skeleton. So coming in close up with this one. So yeah, and again, nice bit of pumpkin in the background. Quite like these little kind of orangey red flowers too. And kind of creates a nice nice kind of contrast to the hard white of the skull. So yeah, smug points to you there, April. Thank you for sending those ones in. Where are we? Oh, Stacey says, I love the skeletons. I enjoy it when people have fun with them. And I think it's right. You know, I mean, the whole thing of Halloween, yes, it's spooky, but it's always supposed to be fun spooky. And also sometimes you don't have to even have the spooky. You just straightforwardly go for the fun. So next up then, Ruth sent in one, and basically something she spotted straightforwardly says witch and broom on a wall, and this was in Verbia in Switzerland. So again, that notion of sort of coming across something and immediately, it's a kind of fun witch, this one. I think I like the simplicity of the lines there. I don't know quite whether it's something that's already been, somebody's made themselves, or but I mean, I suppose you could kind of twist a bit of wire, or you can get some string for that matter. It does have that kind of look of a handmade kind of little hook there with a bit of wire coming under. Rather fun one, this one. So yeah, nicely spotted. Thank you for sending that one in, Ruth. So here we go. I pretty much now on to the last. We've just got one more. Before we get on to that, just a wee reminder. So next week, what we're going to do is we will do a feedback session. And so this, remember, is your chance to get genuine feedback, real feedback, personalised feedback on your photos. And there are very few places on the internet where you can genuinely get that. I got something cropping up in my Facebook feed earlier this morning, actually, talking about submitting images, for submitting portfolio images and submitting images specifically for feedback, a place you could do it, and some of the fees were a little eye-watering that they were wanting, and here you get it for free. So major opportunity for you to kind of get past your sticking points. Another thing I would say is, if there's any particular questions, even if you don't have a direct photo that you want feedback on, ask me questions. If there's something that you're a bit stuck on, if there's something that you've never truly got the hang of, or you've never truly grasped what everybody's going on about, whether that's a technical aspect of the camera, you'd like a better understanding of when to use ISO or aperture or anything like that, or it's a particular theme, like, what's the best way to take photos under these lighting conditions or of these particular kinds of subjects or anything like that, then do let me know. I'm quite happy. I mean, these podcasts have now been going on for 3.5 years. We've long gone past the point whereby I would have just structured out a sort of set of, like a sort of 10-week course. This is an opportunity where, we are going wherever you want it to go. These podcasts are designed for you to improve your photography. So if there's things like where you want to grow your skills, perhaps you already feel you've mastered certain areas, but there's other areas you'd really like more information on, then this is the perfect place for it to explore it. If you're interested in it, there will be other viewers who are interested in it too, and we can kind of learn to explore these areas. So send in your questions, explore ideas, as well as getting feedback on your photos. So with that in mind, let's move on to the final image that's been sent in today, which is actually Meg. And I must admit, I was quite delighted with this one. So now, unfortunately, quality wasn't hugely brilliant because it's obviously very dark. But Meg said she'd been playing around with backlight. So what I did was I took it with my torch diagonally behind in a very dark bedroom. And so she's taken it with her tablet in her bedroom. You can see Meg, you can just about make out Meg's wearing a witch's hat. And what I think works here as well is the fact that the torchlight, giving this sort of lovely kind of eerie backlight, and got the light streams coming out, but it's then the torchlight itself is reflecting in the tablet, which is then bouncing back in, it's reflecting her glasses, and it's just lighting up her face a little bit and highlighting into the eyes there as well. So although on a kind of purely technical level, a tablet in the dark with a torch is very noisy, it's going to be difficult to kind of get, but I think the concept is brilliant. And I think if there'd just been the opportunity to have a better quality camera or tablet for something like this, I think it could have been pulled off brilliantly. But I was really impressed with this, so smug points to you there, Meg, as well. Right, so let's just close that one, and that one, and so a couple more comments. Where are we? So April says cute witch. Viji says minimalistic and cute. Pat says I love the simplicity of the witch. Stacey says interesting concept. April says I like the reflection in the glasses. And Pat and Susan both saying well done and great idea, Meg. So lots of praise there for Meg too. Brilliant. Right, okay, so short one this week. So yeah, but like I say, next week then we'll be back to a feedback critique one. So make sure that you send in your images, tell me what your sticking point is, or send me your questions, or if you have any ideas for themes for challenges or ideas you would like to see specifically covered in future podcasts, then do make sure you let me know. Right, where are we? I just need to kind of click over that. So thank you to everyone who has sent in images, and thank you to everybody who's been leaving comments as well and making this a nice lively little podcast. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.